Jessica, it's unbelievable as the sun comes up this morning to really see the damage that this blaze caused. I mean, if you take a look behind me, we've got a couple storage units with cars in them. Now, there's one car in there. You can see that everything, the roof of the storage unit, everything has fallen in on that vehicle. It's definitely destroyed. We're seeing some tears out here, some definite anger, people coming to check out their belongings. Now, take a look at over here, though. I mean, this storage unit, this half of the storage unit, I should say, is completely demolished by that blaze. I'm looking at a refrigerator. Now, I'm also told there is a Corvette over there. I went to check it out, and it's charred to beyond recognition. I can barely tell that it's a Corvette. You can barely tell if you look at the body style. That's the only way that you can tell. Now, these storage units, they do have dividers, but the fire was able to travel through the attic, an open-air attic. That's exactly how it got to these different storage units. Now, fire crews did get the call just before 11 last night. When they arrived on scene, 3 units were fully engulfed. The fire quickly spread, though. The Thompson Fire Chief says it's the first 5-alarm fire he's been to. More than a dozen departments on scene fighting it. Those crews actually using an excavator to tear up these storage units in order to get close to those flames and put them out. Now, at one point, Route 84 was closed down, and so was the nearby railroad. Both back open this morning. We are seeing traffic moving through just fine. There are no fire crews on scene at this point. Now, there aren't any fire hydrants nearby. That was a problem for fire crews, so more than a dozen tankers brought water to the scene. Now, I have to tell you, almost 50 units have been affected, maybe 45 units at Riverside Storage. 30 of them heavily damaged. You just saw them right behind me. I mean, there's pretty much nothing left. They're charred to nothingness. Now, I have to say, people are going to be coming out throughout the day to survey the damage to see if their storage unit was affected. We've spoken to a couple of people, one person believing they can salvage their personal items. She says that everything that she owns is in 2 storage units here, one of them charred, but she thinks that she's going to be able to salvage them. Now, there was a gentleman here who looks to be owning the car that is behind us. There's a lot of damage to it, so there's a lot of anger here as well. We'll be able to tell you a little bit more as we are able to contact the owner of these storage units at some point this morning. We're live in Savannah. Morgan OTA, KWQC, HD News.
Image now that the sun is starting to come up.
Yeah, Jessica, and there's a lot of it. It is extensive, to say the least. I mean, there's at least 30 units that are completely destroyed. Now, we do have some people coming up, taking a look at their belongings. Now, the owner of this blue Chevy that you're seeing behind me, he has this storage unit right here. Right next to the storage unit, you can see the storage unit next to it is destroyed. I mean, there's no walls around it. So, in one sense of the word, his car is still somewhat intact, but he showed up very emotional, very upset. He's owned this car for about 5 years. It's a show car. He's put a lot of money into it. Now, he checked it out. The engine still runs. He's excited about that. He's very happy. But as far as the rest of the car, there's a lot of damage there. He said he's going to be taking that car back with him to his house, he said, where it will be safe. Now, he says it's not the owner of the storage facility's fault. He says this could happen to anybody. There's really no telling what other people keep in their storage units or how this fire actually started. But one thing that he was concerned about is he knew the fire was going on, and police and fire, they were keeping everybody far away so that they could do their jobs. Ambulances, fire trucks, more than 12 departments here last night. He said he wanted to come here and get his car out, and all he could think about was that he could salvage his car. But of course, a very unfortunate situation. He did have to stay back. A lot of people experiencing some loss today. We're live in Savannah. Morgan OTA, KWQC, HD News.
All right. Thanks so much for the update, Morgan.
Yeah, David, I really don't know which is harder to look at. Pictures of those flames and that massive fire, more than 12 departments out here for hours on end last night, about 10:30. But, I mean, looking at this as the sun comes up, it's definitely hard to look at. You can still see some smoke billowing out of the destruction here. Now, dozens of units destroyed, storage units here, Riverside Storage. But what's even harder to look at, not just for me, but for the people coming out here to survey the damage, they're being welcomed by this. This is a boat that was in one of the storage units. Now, you can see right here, it's charred almost beyond recognition. You can see the frame of the boat, but it's black. I mean, it's destroyed, and so many other things out here are destroyed. I mean, we're seeing refrigerators, we're seeing family photo albums, we're seeing appliances, we're seeing cars. It's really unbelievable. I mean, these people keep these things in storage units hoping that they'll stay safe, and unfortunately, it is just the opposite this morning. Now, fire crews, they did get the call just before 11 last night. When they arrived on scene, scene. 3 units were already fully engulfed. The fire quickly spread. Now, the Thompson Fire Chief says it's the first 5-alarm fire he's ever been to. More than a dozen departments on scene fighting it. Now, those crews using an excavator all night to tear up these storage units in order to get close to those flames and put them out. At one point, Route 84 was closed down, and so was the nearby railroad that runs behind these storage units. Now, there aren't any hydrants nearby, so more than a dozen tankers brought water to the scene. Now, we've got to tell you, almost 50 units have been affected here. We're hearing 45 units, but 30 of them heavily damaged. And from what I'm seeing here, there's dozens of them that are completely gone, never mind heavily damaged. So there's going to be more and more people surveying the damage today, coming out to make sure that one of their storage units was not the ones that was totally damaged. We have seen somebody taking out furniture, another man checking out his car that is pretty damaged, but hopefully some people will get here with some good news today. We're live in Savannah. Morgan OTA, KWQC, HD News.
And Morgan, looking behind you, you can't even tell where the structure itself used to be. Not even the dividing walls are still there. Is that right? Is that what you're seeing back behind you?
You know what? Some of them are not here. Now, behind me, you can't tell at all. I mean, this is just mangled rubble. Fire departments using the excavator to pull some of this stuff out so they can fight the fire. But I'll actually have Kevin walk with me a little bit. Now, if you take a look over here, you can see there is some building that is still standing. I'm going to say there's about 6 storage units still standing right there, but clearly, I mean, they're charred, they're black, heavily damaged. There is some structure that is still standing out here, and maybe another 7 to 10 units on the other side, but this middle section right here, I mean, it's obliterated, it's gone, and it's very unfortunate because some people have been keeping their stuff here for 5 years, 10 years, and really going to be surprised when they come out here today and really see the damage that's been done. David?
All right.
Yeah, David, a lot of people showing up to Riverside Storage this morning, devastated, taking a look, taking account of their property. I mean, items that they've stored here sometimes for years. Now, I'm going to show you a good example of that. This is what we've been trying to send you pictures of all morning. Right behind me, it's a red Corvette, a 1960s Corvette. Now, the owner of that Corvette did show up, very emotional. He tells us that he's had that Corvette since he's in high school. So he's had this, for a very long time. He's stored it for a very long time. It's a classic car, and it's been destroyed by this fire. Now, you can see the storage unit that it was in, not very big, and the walls have all but come down around it. Now, throughout the morning, there's still smoke. I mean, there's still hot spots and things like that popping up, but no real threat of another blaze popping up. You can see the damage has already been done here. Fire crews got the call just before 11 last night. They fought it for hours on end. When they arrived on scene, though, 3 units were already fully engulfed. Now, the fire quickly spread. The Thompson Fire Chief says it's the first 5-alarm fire he's been to. More than a dozen departments were here on scene fighting it. Now, those crews using an excavator to tear up these storage units in order to get close to the flames and fight them properly. Now, I have to tell you, those hot spots we were talking about, Thompson Fire Protection just showed up. They're here to put out some of those hot spots at this point because it's definitely going to be possibly a problem. I mean, we do have cars here. We've got boats here. We could have tanks with gasoline in them. You never know exactly what could happen. So they're here again. We're also told that the fire marshal will be here later this morning to try to find out the cause of this fire. At this point, it's unclear how the fire started. Lots of rumors flying around, but nobody really knows. What we do know, though, is that there is no power in these storage units, so we're not thinking at this point that it is electrical. We are live in Savannah. Morgan OTA, KWQC, HD News.
All right.